Nancy Pelosi. She heaped praise on Kamala Harris, but she declined to say whether or not she thought that the vice president is the best person to be on the ticket with Joe Biden in 2024. Do you?
Of course she is. The Biden-Harris administration, masterclass in terms of performance. Bipartisan deals on infrastructure, bipartisan deals on guns and debt ceiling, on the CHIPS and Science
She's
Act.
the best choice.
I mean, by definition, if I think this administration the last 2.5 years has been one of the most outstanding administrations in the last few decades, and she's a member of that administration, she gets to lay and claim credit to a lot of that success. The answer is absolutely.
And once again, this is the main reason why nobody trusts the media, politicians, or the government, period. Before we dive into this ridiculous interview that Gavin Newsom decided to bless us with, don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you guys could please share so we can get it out there. So look, it sits down in front of CNN, and isn't CNN always complaining? I hope you guys saw that interview with Trump the other day, probably one of his best sit-down interviews where he was just allowed to talk, wasn't a ton of interruptions, just a great interview, over an hour hitting on every single subject. That's the way these interviews should be done. But all the backlash with that interview, they'll say, oh, that he wasn't able to be fact-checked.
Biden-Harris administration, masterclass.
Why isn't Gavin Newsom fact-checked? Do you hear it right there? A master class. When you guys get up to go to work, the grocery store, the gas station, pay any bills, anything, is it a master class what you guys are witnessing? So obviously these polls and whatever the real American people are feeling is completely opposite from the BS that this dude is selling. And that's all he does. This is the same dude that said, you can't go out to restaurants, it's too dangerous and whatever. And then he gets caught out at a restaurant and then still almost didn't even want to admit that he was wrong and said, I showed up and looked at everybody and said, I should probably turn around, but I didn't want to be rude. This guy is so disingenuous. He is complete phony, and you see it on full display. A master class. Why don't you talk about the record amount of credit card debt? For the first time in history, Americans collectively passing over $1 trillion. Do you think that's a good thing? That means everybody's using, or not everybody, a lot of people are using credit cards to keep up with all of these rising costs. And then what happens with that? Eventually it comes due, and then the bills just mount up on top of that. Why doesn't he talk about how literally gas prices are going to go from here to the moon and back? You already see what's happening in his own state. But it's going to be even worse this time around because they cannot rob from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve that they drained to the lowest level since the 80s. It was completely filled up. They used it to try to say, you know what, vote for us on the midterms, and didn't think about all their policies down the road a year later. And look at it now. The prices are completely out of control. So is that a good thing?
Look, I know you got to be frustrated. I know. I can taste it.
What about the inflation, the grocery bills, the interest rates being the highest that they've been like in over 20 years, mortgage rates? Why aren't we talking about none of that? The same home today, a 3-bedroom that you could have got many years ago for say like $1,300-1,200 a month is now over $2,000 a month for the same house. That's over $800 extra that you're paying. That's not counting how many people are cruising around in a car that's over $1,000 a month now. More people than ever are doing that. So what are you talking about? He wants to act like it's a master class. So you're going to go around, man, look at this gas, man. It's about $7.50 a gallon for unleaded. Let's not even get into premium or diesel. It's about $7.50. But thank goodness that Joe passed the CHIPS and Science Act.
Bipartisan deals on infrastructure, bipartisan deals on guns and debt ceiling, on the CHIPS and Science
She's
Act.
the best.
Man, you know what? That's really hitting home. That's what I'm really focused on. I know this bacon's $8. I know I went to the store and bought 4 things and the total's $120. But I could just, the infrastructure law, the infrastructure that is just coming down upon this country that nobody's seen, man, I can't wait. They haven't even printed the money for that yet. So that's not even into effect. These people are complete phonies, and that's what they do. They go, so you talk about fact checking Trump and all this. Why isn't he fact checked? Why isn't this talked about? Talking about the most successful administration?
By definition, if I think this administration the last 2.5 years has been one of the most outstanding administrations in the last few decades.
Really? That's how far we're gonna go with this. Where? Point to it. I don't want to hear about nothing passed through the Senate. I'm talking about everyday lives that are affected. You're talking about we're putting a cap on insulin, right? It's only gonna be $35 a month. Okay, but what about rent? What about car payments? What about mortgage? What about all this stuff? The $35, that's nothing compared to what you're getting smoked with on the back end. They're not talking about that. Even people in his own state are fleeing his state for the stupid, sick policies that they promote. None of this stuff works. It's very simple. If it worked, it would be a net migration. More people would be moving into California, Chicago. Why do you think all these businesses are fleeing? It's not just because of the crime. It's about the stupid, ridiculous policies they promote, and it's getting worse. But he'll sit up there and bold-faced lie and just smile while he's doing it.
But the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted, and I got to own that. And so I want to apologize to you because I need to preach and practice, not just preach and not practice. And I've done my best to do that.
Liar!
And the last thing I'll touch with this is if everything's such a masterclass, right, and they're the best administration in the last decades, how come it doesn't reflect with the American people? How come the American people aren't happy with this so-called masterclass that's going down? Then they'll refute and they'll come back and they'll say, oh, well, it's a messaging issue.
And yes, it takes a while for people to feel the full benefits of those results.
Or just wait towards the election when they see what the alternative is. So what are you guys going to run on? Oh, man, Trump's going to destroy everything if he's allowed to go in. Democracy is going to fail. Everything's going to go to hell. He's going to turn the country over to Putin. All this stuff that they told you back in 2016, mind you, that he was going to start World War III, and now we're even closer to that than it was before. But no, so they say all that stuff. Then what are you guys going to run on? Oh, we know gas is $6, so give us another 4 years and maybe we'll get it down to $5. We understand that the mortgage rates and all this stuff is just historic highs, 20-year highs. Give us some more time and we'll work it out. Nothing is going in a positive direction. And I'll be the first person to sit up. If it was going in a positive direction, I would sit up and I would say, hey, listen, I don't like these people. I don't like the policies, but it's working. There's nothing to refute. There's nothing to say. It's working. What they're doing, it's the exact opposite, and they know that. So you expect people to line up and vote for this nonsense when you are making their lives worse. Nobody, I don't care who you are, maybe a multi-millionaire, billionaire, it's people that don't even pump their own gas. Nobody is saying, man, things are looking so great. And when I pay this and I pay that, I'm saving so much money. I got more savings than I ever had. Nobody's saying that, and they know that. But it's just corrupt. They're disingenuous. And these people, you just can't trust anything that they say whatsoever because they'll lie in your face and they'll smile about it.
I'm honest.
But I would love to hear from you guys. Maybe it's just me. I'm in Nevada. I see what's going on with the rents and the gas and the food. Maybe it's just here in Nevada. Maybe if you guys live, like, say, in Wyoming or Florida or South Carolina or California, maybe it's different for you guys and I'm just tripping. I'm just in my little bubble and I don't see it. Maybe everything is so smooth and amazing and I just don't see it. Maybe I need to go to Washington, D.C. or somewhere like that, and maybe the grass is so much greener over there, but I doubt it because it's all BS that these people sell. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you guys could please share so we can get it out there, and I will catch you guys on the next one.